Let me just see where we're at. We're ready to speak. We're ready to speak about what will be, about what will be, not what they want to see, not what they want to see, but what will indeed come, but what will indeed come in the coming times. In the coming times, you have chosen to learn through. You have chosen to learn through dominion through power. Dominion through power, through aggression is actually coming to an end, is actually coming to an end. And the challenge of this, is that you've all believed, it was the only paradigm for rule. It was the only paradigm for rule. What will come in its place? What will come in its place will not be what you want either, will not be what you want either. Your idea of rule or power and authority, intend to be challenged, because you will actually invoke a new principle that will have to be addressed, What are you speaking to? He asks. What are you speaking to? He asks. I don't understand the teaching. I don't understand this teaching. When you move from one model to another, when you move from one model to another, and the model you choose to replace the old, and the model you choose to replace the old still has the fingerprints of the old upon it, In other words, it is chosen. In other words, it is chosen in obligation to change a system, based on one experience. Based on one experience, you call the old into the new. You call the old into the new by nature of being. In other words, the fragment of the teacup that is now embedded in the statue, claims the statue in energetic accord with the teacup it once was, When there is a great change of systems, there is usually a great call for glory. There is usually a great call for glory, for some to be right, at the cost of others being wrong, But that is not what we see happening now. Instead, what we see is a level of hush, that you have not known, The clamor, the din of aggression has in fact been so loud, it's ever present in the field you've held, it's ever present in the field you have held. Aggression itself, in the ways you have used it, to dominate, to harm, to control others, is about to be attended to, at the level of individual, which means you're all going to encounter aspects, which means you are all going to encounter your aspects that contribute to this, and the collective. Now understand, friends. The collective has great authority. If you move one system, and then find yourself living with another, and then find yourself living with another that you are not happy with, please see it as transitional. Not an outcome, and not an outcome that you will have to abide by, The old are releasing. The old is releasing the ways of being. The ways of being and change are present now, and you're having to learn through being in change. And you're having to learn through being in change. When one is in change, one not need to control outcome. One need not control outcome. One moves to allowance. She does the best she may. She does the best she may. He does the best he may. He does the best he may. In uncertainty, the confusion of the times you sit in. The confusion of the times you sit in are born in the old releasing, of the new seeking to configure, and the new seeking to configure without a basis. You are using the old as a basis still. If we don't have a government, whatever we choose must look like government. Whatever we choose must look like a government. We must comprehend in that way. We must comprehend it in that way. And you find yourself again in a system of control, that you find challenging, what ultimately comes, What ultimately comes and will be is a new kind of expression, is a new kind of expression, the idea of respect. The idea of respect, inherent respect for humanity as a basis for all things, as a basis for all things must be understood as the new requirement, for the survival of the species. For the survival of the species, you don't murder or neglect. You don't murder or neglect that which you respect, and have care for, How does this happen? Paul asks. How does this happen? Paul asks. I can't see. I don't know. I can't see it happening in my lifetime. It's actually moving there now. You can't see it yet. You can't see it yet, just as you don't see the hand on the clock, just as you don't see the hand on the clock moving forward until the clock strikes anew. The new is present. The new is present, seeking to be born, and those being born now. And those being born now are actually navigating the energies of the higher that are present, without their feet stuck in fear, And what this means is the entrenchment to all behavior based in fear, always a governance, old ways of governance, old ways of being expressed, that have their roots in fear, are disabled. Those of you that have known them, those of you that have known them perpetuate them unknowingly, but there are those now being born. Who don't hold the equivalency in their energetic field, Everything on this plane is the result of energetic equivalency, and you must understand this. And you must understand this if you were brought up in a world where you had to fight to get what you want, where you had to fight to get what you want, there would be a belief in scarcity. And you would perpetuate it unknowingly. Only one can get the job. Only one can get the job that I seek to apply for. Only one can wed the girl. Only one can wed the girl that everyone seems to want, Your ideas of what should be. So very moored in history. Claim an equivalency in magnification on this plane. So you get what you expect. When one comes to this plane. When one comes to this plane without that history embedded in the energetic field, when they're able to live beyond it, because they cannot agree to it, equivalency. In equivalency, the world begins to shift. He asks a question. Well, if the new get to have it, what about us old people? Aren't we doing this work? Indeed, the work that you are doing. The work that you are doing is a benefit to all, You're creating and supporting a template. You are creating and supporting a template for those who come, when the vibration of fear, is not the mandate of being alive, the expected requirement for learning, the world is made new. The world is made new. A world is renowned. By those who can perceive a new world, Who can perceive a new world is one who has been made new, or reclaimed, or reclaimed, resurrected if you wish, in the high octave of the upper room, The upper room is a template. The upper room is a template, an organic template, if you wish, of what expresses beyond the manifest realm. beyond the manifest realm that you have known, that you have known. It lifts itself. It lifts itself because it is only lifting, because it is only lifting. Now, if you understand that the upper room coincides, that the upper room coincides with the reality you're expressing in now, with the reality you are expressing in now. It is not someplace other. It is not someplace other, but a shift of vibration, where all things may be reknown, where all things may be reknown. You will actually understand. You will actually understand the true gift of this teaching, the true gift of this teaching, which is being as you truly are, without the fear or the need for fear or the need for fear that you have inherited, The new will be made. The new will be made. It will come into form. And many will say, yes, we see it. And many will say, yes, we see it before it is made form, because everything is first made form. Because everything is first made form in the spiritual realm, and then brought into being, We are teaching you to do this. We are teaching you to do this, how to reclaim a world, how to support a new world, when we teach you tomorrow. When we teach you tomorrow, we intend to teach you manifestation. We intend to teach you manifestation in a somewhat different way, perhaps, than we have done, because the time is here. Because the time is here for you to truly understand purview, to stop being subject, to the emotional selves, that have been entrained in the lower fear-based octave, that have been entrained in the lower fear-based octave. All things may be made new. All things may be made new, and this includes your nature, your fear of that woman, or those men, those beings over there, anything that you imagine. Anything that you imagine may indeed be reknown, and we suggest will be reknown, as you say yes to the gift that you have been given upon your creation, What gift is that, he asks? What gift is that, he asks? Use of will, and acclamation to the true self, or the source of your being, to acclimate to the source of your being. To acclimate to the source of your being is to allow it to be, and stop telling the world what it should be, and stop telling the world what it should be by your small self's mandate or edict. And let God be God, and let God be God, and let God be known, and let God be known, and let yourself be known in God, and let yourself be known in God, and all things as well. We wish to do an attunement. We'll do this with Paul, and we will do this with Paul, who is unaware of this. We spoke earlier of the garment. Which he recollects from his young years, the idea of garment. The idea of garment or robe or sheathing is symbolic in some ways, but it is also a coat. But it is also a coat of light that lifts the bodies, to itself. We wish to endow each of you. with this, if you will allow it, to receive this vibration. To receive this vibration is to say yes, to a new way of being, beyond the old, or beyond the old systems you agreed to, or beyond the old systems you have agreed to. When we bring this through, I am receiving the high garment. I am receiving the high garment, or high robe, You are simply agreeing. To what will be placed upon you, to what will be placed upon you. It is all good. It is all good, all light, all light, but it also has great power. But it also has great power. What is this, he asks. What is this, he asks. It deflects what is no longer true. It deflects what is no longer true. It refuses what is not true. It refuses what is not true. It aligns you to only what is true. It aligns you to only which is true. While this is an attunement, yes. While this is an attunement, yes, and we'll be teaching it in classes in the times we have, and we will be teaching it in classes in the times we have. This is its first invocation. This is its first invocation since Paul was a young man, and accepting this journey and accepting this journey and this robe on the count of three. On the count of three, we support you each. We support you each in the reception of this light, in the reception of this light as robe, as garment, as shawl, if you wish, as shawl, if you wish, in light, and the yes that you give us. And the yes that you give us is all that is required, for its reception, on the count of one, now two. Now two, now three, be received by us, Allow us to be with you, and allow the cloak to be placed upon you. Blessings to each of you. This is done. This is done. They're saying thank you each for your presence. Stop now, please. Go to questions if you wish. So I just asked if I could talk about this since they referenced me, and they're saying, if you wish. When I was about 32, 33, which is some time ago now, I had a little group that met in my apartment. It actually met for about 18 years, and I was doing this work, but it was before the guides were lecturing through me. They were doing invocations and bringing in energy. And for me, the work was all about the energy. But one of the things they used to bring through was a cloak. And I haven't heard it since I was that young. So they called it, when I first heard it many, many years ago, but I think they were saying that was a term that I was using at that age, and I don't know what it is. So that's what we got. So anything they want to say about this? Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. So I'll leave it at that. So that's just because I was surprised by this, not what I was expecting.